Welcome to my world. Today is another day to talk on knowledge matters, health and knowledge acquisition. Knowledge is power, health is wealth. The topic today is laboratory involvement in Down syndrome. But the effort that has been made so far has really helped to categorize it more or less into three different types. And of all these three, it's about 1% of it that really is hereditary. The others are more or less genetic disorder, but not hereditary. So come along and let us have more exposure on Down syndrome.
Down syndrome is a genetic chromosomal 21 disorder problem. So it shows in the delay of the intelligence as well as development of the child. Lab research finding. In the year 2000, an international team of scientists successfully identified and cataloged each of the approximate 329 genes on chromosome 21, the problem chromosome. This accomplishment opened the door to great advancement in Down syndrome research. Down syndrome is usually caused by an error in cell division called non-disjunction. Non-disjunction results in an embryo with 3 copies of chromosome 21 instead of the usual 2. Prior to or at conception, a pair of 21st chromosome in either the sperm or the egg fail to separate. As the embryo develops, the extra chromosome is replicated in every cell of the body. This type of Down syndrome, which accounts for 95% of cases, is called trisomy 21. The trisomy 21 is like reported there, account for 95% of this Down syndrome. When you look at this diagram very well, you will see at the level of meiosis, these cells, the chromosome, instead of divided into 2 equal cells, they now have 24 in one, 22 in the other. And then when 24 chromosome and 23 joins, it forms 47 chromosomes instead of the 46 at the meiosis level. So the fertilization produced the 47 chromosome, which is responsible for Down syndrome. So at the mitosis level, that is in all the cells, you find 47. So that in this mosaic type, the Down syndrome is different in that you have 46 chromosomes in some and some containing 47. So it's like a mixture. So the Down syndrome effect is not so common. It's not so pronounced with the mosaic Down syndrome. The mosaic Down syndrome is the least common form of Down syndrome and accounts for only about 2% of all cases of Down syndrome. Research has indicated that the individual with mosaic Down syndrome may have fewer characteristics of Down syndrome than those with other type of Down syndrome. And this is the picture here. At that fertilization, you can see some having 46. This 46 chromosome is normal, but some will now have 47, some 45, some 46. So it is that 47 that is always showing that Down syndrome character. There is also the level of translocation, which accounts for about 3% of cases. That is the mutation, which is more of translocation. That is located. They are not also generally 46 in the 21 chromosome. It's translocate to other chromosomes, and that's why it's called translocation. So Down syndrome occurs in people of all races and economic levels. Though older women have an increased chance of having a child with Down syndrome, a 35-year-old woman has about 1 in 350 chance of conceiving a child with Down syndrome. at age 45 too. So let us have something holistic on that age and Down syndrome problem. Age 20, there is 1 in 200 chance of having a Down syndrome child. At age 21, 1 in 1,700. 24, you have 1 in 1,300. At 27 years of age, look at 46, is 1 in 25. If you are 46 and you are just thinking of having a child, at 49 going to 50, you have 1 in 50 chance of having a Down syndrome. So since many people are postponing parenting until later age, the incidence of Down syndrome conception is expected to be going higher. Then to diagnosis. The diagnosis, we have two parts. We have the screening test. The screening test often include a combination of a blood test which measures the amount of various substances in the mother's blood, and then an ultrasound is done, the scanning, which creates a picture of the baby. During an ultrasound scanning, one of the things that will be seen around the neck is that fluid, indicative of a genetic problem. These tests do not tell you for sure whether your fetus has this Down syndrome. It is the diagnostic test that gives 100% diagnosis. The diagnostic test really involves testing the chorionic villus sample. You collect materials from the placenta and is tested in the lab. The amniocentesis sample is from the amniotic fluid is collected in the sac surrounding the baby, and is also tested to know the content. The percutaneous umbilical blood sample is also collected, that is around there. These tests look for changes in the chromosome that would indicate a Down syndrome diagnosis. This is the typical picture. The ultrasound transducer helps to show the picture of the baby in the womb, but what that fluid you are seeing is the amniotic fluid that is tested in the lab. The baby is contained inside the uterus. At birth, the baby, Down syndrome is usually identified at birth by the presence of certain physical traits: low muscle tones, a single deep crease across the palm of the hand, a slightly flattened facial profile, and an upward slant to the height. Because these features may be present in babies without Down syndrome, a chromosomal analysis called a karyotype is done. They photograph the chromosome and then group them by size, number, and shape. Another type is the fluorescent in situ hybridization. You can now see the typical chromosome. The chromosomes are appearing in pairs. All you will see that they are just two, but when you look at chromosome 21, you will see there are 3 chromosomes there, not 2. And that tells you chromosome 21 appears triplet, and that is the cause of that serious problem. Treatment is, the therapy has to do with special services to help babies and children with Down syndrome to improve their physical and intellectual ability.